The hidden discovery. The Galaxy Council chamber was filled with light and pride. Alien leaders from hundreds of worlds gathered in tall seats, their voices loud and full of arrogance. They spoke about their victories, their new colonies, and their control over weaker races. Many laughed when the subject of humans came. To them, humans were still called young ones, simple and fragile. No one in that chamber dared to think of humanity as a real threat, but far away from the council. In the silent edge of the stars, something else was happening. A small scout vessel from the Zorath Empire drifted close to a mining world. Its mission was simple: to check the production of minerals. The crew was bored, they expected nothing more than numbers and dust. Yet as they entered the dark tunnels of the colony, their sensors picked up strange signals, soft heartbeats, faint cries. At first they thought it was local animals, but when one officer activated the cameras, the entire crew froze. Inside the metallic cages behind bars too cruel even for beasts were children. Not alien children, but human children. Their eyes were tired, their faces pale, and their hands small and weak. Some were lying on the ground, whispering words none of the crew understood. Others clung to each other, trying to share warmth in the cold shadows. The officer dropped his device in fear. He whispered, "Why would anyone keep human children here?" The captain ordered silence. "This is not for us to see. This is dangerous knowledge," he warned. But the youngest crew member could not look away. The image of the children burned into his memory. He asked, "Do you even realize what this means? Do you realize what horror this is?" The ship returned to orbit quickly. The captain thought of erasing the records. He knew what the council did to those who carried forbidden truths. Yet whispers had already begun among the crew. They knew what they saw, and they could not forget. News of the discovery reached the council chamber within days. At first, the leaders dismissed it as lies, but then, when the recordings were shown, the room went silent. Every leader leaned forward, their eyes wide. The hologram showed the cages, the children, the cries that echoed through the cold tunnels. For the first time in centuries, no one in the council laughed. An elder alien stood up, his voice shaking. "You fools," he cried. "You have caged human children. Do you even realize what you've done?" His words cut through the silence like a blade. Some tried to defend themselves, saying it was only a secret project, a way to test obedience. Others argued it was the act of rogue officers, but the elder slammed his fist. "Do you not remember history? Do you not remember what happens when humans suffer?" The council chamber grew restless. Memories of old wars long hidden from the young races returned to the minds of the elders. Wars where humans, with no empire, no fleets, no great technology, still stood against enemies far stronger. Wars where humans bled but never bent, and when their children were harmed they became storms that no world could stop. A young council member scoffed. "They are still weak, they are still few, they cannot challenge us now," he said. But his words shook with false confidence. Deep down even he remembered the stories whispered in shadows, stories of human rage, stories of human unity. The elder leaned forward, his eyes sharp as fire. "You can measure their ships, you can measure their weapons, but you cannot measure their hearts, and when you touch their children, you awaken something the galaxy cannot control." The chamber fell into silence once more. Every leader stared at the frozen image of the small hands clutching the bars. The cries of the children seemed to echo even in that great hall. No one wanted to speak further, because they all felt it. Fear. A fear that humans would learn of this. Far from the council in the dark mining world, the children still waited. They did not know why they were taken. They did not know who would come for them. But one child, the oldest among them, whispered, a promise to the others. "Someone will find us, someone will hear us." And in that whisper was a strength greater than the chains. The story of the cages had just begun to spread. It was a secret that could not be contained, a discovery that would change the fate of empires. And as the council trembled in silence, one thought returned again and again. If humans discover this, the galaxy will never be the same. The whisper of fear. The recordings of the human children spread faster than the council expected. Even when leaders tried to seal the files, Copies moved through secret channels. Smugglers whispered about it. In dark markets, pirates carried fragments of the video, selling them like forbidden jewels. And in the hidden corners of the galaxy, fear began to grow. Old races remembered. They remembered the wars where humans refused to fall. They remembered battles where a single human ship, broken and outnumbered, still fought until the enemy fleet burned. And now, with children locked in cages, they asked one another in quiet voices, "What will happen if humans learn the truth?" On a cold moon station, a group of merchants gathered. One elder merchant shook his head. "You think the council can hide this?" he asked. "They cannot, because secrets always find their way to humans, and when they hear their children cry." He did not finish the sentence. His voice was heavy with fear. Meanwhile, deep in space, a lone traveler moved across borders. He was not human, but he had lived among them once. He knew their spirit. He knew their pain. When he received the recording of the children, he stared at the screen for a long time, then he whispered, "If they find out, no empire will survive." The council held an emergency meeting. Inside the grand chamber, voices clashed like thunder. "We must erase the evidence," one shouted. "We must silence the witnesses," another demanded. But the elder who had spoken before stood again, his face like stone. "You are fools, all of you. It is already too late. The whispers are everywhere, and fear is growing faster than your lies." As he spoke, a messenger rushed into the hall. He carried news that made even the proudest leaders tremble. A small human ship near the border had received fragments of the recordings. They did not speak. They did not respond. They only sent back a single message to their command. No one knew what that message said. But the silence of the humans was far more terrifying than any threat. On the mining colony, the children still clung to hope. They did not know that their suffering had shaken the galaxy. They only sang soft songs of Earth, songs about blue skies, rivers, and warm sunlight. The guards mocked them, but the songs never stopped. Even in darkness, their voices were like sparks. Whispers traveled further. Pirates spoke of entire fleets moving in secret. Merchants swore they saw human scouts near trade lanes, and old veterans of forgotten wars began to sharpen their weapons. They knew what was coming. They had seen it before. Humanity waking. One council member tried to calm the chamber. "They will negotiate. They always try diplomacy first," he said. But his words were weak, because every elder remembered times when humans had spoken softly, and then, when their children or their people were harmed, they had struck with a fury the galaxy could not stop. In a hidden station far from any star, a group of rebels watched the recordings. One of them, scarred from old battles, turned to the others. "Do you not hear it?" he asked. They looked confused until he replayed the cries of the children, again and again. "It is not just sound," he whispered. "It is a call." And humanity always answers its children. At the same time, in the blackness of space, the human ship moved without words. Inside the command deck, the captain stood still. His crew waited, their eyes heavy with silent rage. The captain finally spoke one sentence: "Prepare the fleet." And those 3 words moved faster than light itself. The council did not know yet. The alien empires still argued. Some said to release the children quietly. Others said to hide them deeper. But their debates were useless. Because far away in silence, humanity had already begun to rise. The whispers of fear grew into storms across the galaxy. In markets, in ships, in back alleys, in battle stations, everyone spoke of it. "You caged human children, do you realize what you have done?" And in that whisper, every species felt the same chill, because they knew deep inside that the storm of humanity was coming. And this time, nothing could stop it. The storm awakens. The galaxy did not hear a human threat. No broadcast, no warnings, no council statement. Only silence. And in that silence, the most powerful empires began to tremble. The human ship that had seen the recording returned to its hidden fleet base. Inside, no music played, no celebration rose. Instead, every soldier moved like shadows. Engineers worked day and night without speaking. Dockyards lit up with fire as old ships were awakened, steel groaned, reactors roared, and the galaxy never saw it, because humans had learned long ago that the deadliest strike is the one no one sees coming. On the mining colony, the children whispered songs of Earth, their voices soft but strong. Even the guards grew restless, because the songs carried hope, and hope is more dangerous than weapons. One child, barely old enough to stand, pressed his hand on the cold bars. He whispered to the others, "My father will come." The younger ones asked, "How do you know?" The boy smiled weakly. "Because humans never forget their children." Meanwhile, in the council chambers, chaos reigned. Reports poured in, ships lost near the borders, supply routes disrupted, communication lines cut. At first, they blamed pirates. But when scouts vanished without a trace, fear sharpened into truth. It was not pirates, it was not rebels. It was humanity moving in silence. The elder alien stood again. His voice carried across the hall like thunder. "Do you still not see? This is no longer about cages, this is about survival. They are awake now, and when humans awaken, no star is safe." Some leaders demanded surrender. "Release the children, beg forgiveness," they said. But others were stubborn. "They cannot fight us all. They are still too few." Yet even as they spoke, their eyes betrayed doubt. In a deep space station far from the council, smugglers told stories. They swore they saw human warships, ancient and new, moving together. Some said they were ghosts. Others said they were real, but all agreed on one thing: the humans were preparing for war. The whispers grew louder. "Did you hear? They are training night and day. They are pulling ships from graveyards. They are calling soldiers who never returned." Every corner of the galaxy echoed with the same fearful words. Back in the human fleet, the captain stood before his crew. He did not shout. He did not raise his voice. He simply spoke. "Our children are in cages, that is all we need to know." And the soldiers, silent and grim, saluted without hesitation. No one asked for reward. No one asked for glory. They only prepared, because to fight for children is the deepest duty of a human. On the colony, the guards grew nervous. They began to hear strange sounds in the night, echoes in the tunnels, whispers in the dark. Some claimed to see shadows moving without bodies. Others swore they felt eyes watching from the black. Fear infected them like a disease. The commander of the colony barked at his soldiers, "Do not be weak. They are only children." But even he looked over his shoulder, because deep in his heart he knew the truth. If the humans were coming, there was nothing he could do. The council sent spies to human space. None returned. The last message received was chilling. Static filled the screen, then a single human voice whispered, "We know." And then silence. Panic spread. Allies turned against each other. Some empires tried to move their fleets away from human borders. Others demanded the council take action before it was too late. But action no longer mattered, because the storm had already begun in the shadows of the galaxy, where silence was louder than screams. Human ships lit their engines, 1,000 eyes opened in the dark, and the storm awakened fully. One elder whispered in despair, "They do not shout, they do not threaten, and that is why we are doomed. Because when humans are silent, it means they are already on their way." Fire in the dark. The mining colony slept in uneasy silence. Guards walked the tunnels, their weapons shaking in their hands. They told themselves humans were far away, that no fleet could reach them unseen. But deep in the void above, the stars shifted, engines burned without sound, and the storm arrived. Human warships slipped out of the dark like predators. Old destroyers, new carriers, even ships pulled from forgotten graveyards. Each one carried no banners, no signals, only the cold light of purpose. The first patrol never saw them. One moment, they floated. The next, they were dust. No alarm, no warning, just silence. In the colony, the children stirred. They felt the tremor through the floor. The oldest boy whispered, "They are here." And for the first time, the children smiled. Even in their cages, hope shone brighter than the lamps above them. The alien commander shouted orders, "Raise the shields! Call for reinforcements." But the comm lines were dead, every signal jammed. The sky above the colony burned red as human ships descended. Their weapons did not roar. They cut, precise and sharp. One by one, guard towers fell without sound. The council received frantic calls from the colony. Static, screams, then silence. No fleet could reach them in time. And so the chamber trembled as the truth settled in. Humanity had come. Inside the tunnels, the guards tried to hold their ground. But the shadows moved faster. Human soldiers, armored and silent, appeared from the darkness. Their rifles glowed, their blades struck. No words, no mercy. They moved like ghosts, each one driven by the same purpose. Save the children. The cages rattled as footsteps approached. The children held their breath. Then the metal doors were cut open, sparks flying. A soldier knelt before them, visor shining. "You're safe now," he whispered. And the children burst into tears, clinging to him. Their cries echoed louder than any weapon. In the control tower, the alien commander watched in despair. "This is impossible," he muttered. "How can a race with so little power bring down an entire colony?" A trembling officer beside him answered, "Because they are human, and we touch their children." The humans carried the children out, every small hand gripping armor, every face buried against soldiers' shoulders. Behind them, the colony burned. The guards who resisted lay silent, and those who surrendered were bound in chains. Justice had come in the dark. The humans sent no message of victory. They did not boast. They did not threaten. Instead, they sent one simple broadcast to the galaxy. A small voice, recorded from one of the rescued children. "They locked us away," the child said softly, and then the message ended. The council chamber fell into complete silence. No leader spoke, no one even breathed, because that single child's voice carried more terror than an army. It was proof that humanity had seen, and humanity had answered. The elder alien who had warned them before stood again, his eyes heavy with sorrow. "It is done," he said quietly. "The fire has begun, and nothing in this galaxy can put it out now." Above, the mining colony, the human fleet vanished into the black, taking the children with them. No trails, no signals, no trace left behind, only ruins, smoke, and silence. The kind of silence that comes before a storm spreads to every corner of the sky. And as the galaxy watched, every species whispered the same words in fear. They came in silence, they struck in fire, and they will come again. Judgment Day. The galaxy could no longer deny it. The humans had acted. The mining colony was gone. The children were saved. And the silent fire of their vengeance had spread through every star system. The council chamber stood heavy with fear. Leaders from hundreds of empires gathered, their voices low, their eyes restless. For days they argued, who was to blame, who would pay, who would lead the defense. But their words meant nothing, because outside the chamber, the people of the galaxy already whispered the truth. The humans were awake and judgment was near. The doors of the council trembled as ships descended in orbit. Not alien ships, but human warships. Thousands of them, black as night, standing like sentinels above the capital world. No warnings, no ultimatums, just presence. And that silence weighed heavier than any weapon. Inside, panic broke. Some leaders demanded to fight. Others begged to surrender. But before they could decide, the chamber darkened, a massive hologram appeared. It was not a general, not a politician. It was a human child. The same one rescued from the cages. Her small voice echoed across the chamber. "They locked us away," she said again, and every leader lowered their eyes, unable to breathe. Then the human envoy entered. He wore no crown, no badge, no armor, only a simple uniform, his face calm and unreadable. He stood in silence until the chamber grew still. Then he spoke. "You caged our children." His voice was soft, but it cut sharper than steel. You thought we would never know. You thought we would never rise, but you were wrong. One alien leader dared to speak. It was not all of us, it was a few. The human raised his hand and silence returned. We are not here for excuses. We are not here for war. We are here for judgment. The chamber shook with whispers. Judgment, they repeated. What did it mean? What would they demand? The human envoy looked around. We do not seek revenge, he said slowly. But if this crime is repeated, if even one more human child is harmed, then no council, no empire, no star will remain. We will burn this galaxy to ash before we allow it. His words carried no anger, no shouting, and that cold certainty was worse than rage. Every leader felt it in their bones. He meant every word. The council fell into silence. For the first time in its long history, the mighty empires bent their heads, not to another alien power, but to the will of humanity, because they all understood. A people who rise for their children cannot be broken. Outside, the human fleet remained still, their guns silent, their engines quiet. They did not need to fire. Their presence alone was enough to remind the galaxy of the cost of arrogance. When the envoy turned to leave, he left one final message. Remember this day, not because you feared us, but because you learned that our children are our future, and anyone who threatens that future will face judgment. From all of humanity, the chamber doors closed, the human ships pulled back into the black, and the galaxy shivered in silence. From that day forward, no species dared speak of caging humans again, for in every shadow, in every whisper, they remembered the fire, the silence, and the judgment of a race that would never forget its children.